Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yes, good. That's good.
Welcome to the Entrepreneurship Forum. Today I have a special guest and a very good friend of mine, Captain Bob. His name is Bob Pedersen, and he has founded and is part of too many companies to even list some days. But he's, I could name Franklin Covey, Dallas Soul. What else should I name?
Carol Loha, 8 kids, 33 grandkids. That's it.
Okay. 8 kids and 33 grandkids are some of the best challenges and best blessings. And we're going to talk today about an article that came out called "The World is Flat." And I'm going to turn the time over to Bob and let him introduce it, and then we're going to have a little forum and some discussion back and forth, and include all of you in that discussion. I think you'll find this very interesting. I did send the copy of the article out on email. Some of you say you didn't get it, others did, and you got it, okay, good. And some didn't pull it up. But I think you'll enjoy this. So without any further introduction, meet Bob Pedersen, Captain Bob.
Thank you. Thank you, Ray. We don't have a clock on the wall, so tell me roughly when. Don, could you tell me 5 minutes before so I would know we're shutting it down? All right, so I'm happy to be here. I'm really happy to be here. I just had one of those great times where a father can visit with his son. My son is Jefferson Pedersen, and he is an entrepreneur because when we were growing up, other families talk about stuff. We always talked about finance and business and how you make money and why should you be successful, and it went forward like that. But in the process, Jeff was recognized as the Entrepreneur of the Year in Utah in 2 or 3 categories on different years. And then his brother, Robert, who is his older brother, he also won Best of State and Entrepreneur of the Year because some of the principles we talked about, I think, stuck a little bit with them. And so today, I'm happy to be invited by a dear friend, Rick Lambert. And he's dear because he is modest not to tell you about his successes in the past in an entrepreneurial business to where the owners that founded Prowse Woods, one of the biggest home builders, condominium builders in the state, are now, one is in his later years, the other one has passed away, but he was a chief financial officer. So let me, as I begin to unfurl some of the thoughts I have had the best 2 days reviewing and thinking about what I might share, because 1 or 2 of you here today may make a difference to you. Now this, I think, will be on the internet. If I look at it and see if there's anything that shouldn't be on there, then we'll just kill it, pull the plug, and erase, all right? But you might want to get a pencil and paper out. Some of you have papers and some of you have pencils. It may not make a difference because I'm doing this for you because it's a reminder to me about things that are really on my mind as it relates to my children and grandchildren going forward. I have 32 grandchildren. Worried about the future. Concerned, always have been. And I know you are. I'm going to name some things that maybe are on your mind. Let's see, how to have a living and have a job in the years to come. Very critical. How do I make an impact in my interviews so when I go to interview for a job after Salt Lake Community College or further education, how do I go about getting the job? How do I then earn money? And how do I have some chance of saving some of that money? Because I will guarantee you long before you retired, I'll be passed on. I'm a very young or very old 49. You know that's not true, okay. But I'll be passed on. The world as I know it today will be different than what you will know in the years to come. Social Security will largely not exist. There will be great government programs to help people just meet their basic needs. Health, Obamacare will take on many iterations by then. You won't get that. Right now it's $2,600 a month if you're a guy who's been paying in Social Security for a lifetime. My wife would get $1,300 a month. That will all change. The world just has been going through a process of changing. So if you don't mind, as I look at some of you, and I love the expressions on your faces, I'm going to be talking to you as though you were one of my sons, but most of them now are older. But I have these kind of conversations with these two boys, and then son-in-laws, as I encourage them about education and about an attitude towards life and about business. Well, there's a lot of words. But I want you to know this is serious stuff. It's important stuff. It deals with your life. I have another 30 years, then I'll be, 100 something. But in that process, when I fade away, you're fading into the new world. So some of you, if you'd like, make a few notes. You may not take any notes, and you'll refer back to the video, talk to Rick. But I want to talk to you a little bit about an article that was passed on to me, and I've read it, and now I'm going to go get the book. It's coming out tomorrow or the next day. It's called The World is Flat, A Brief History of the 21st Century by Thomas L. Friedman. You're one of the few students on this whole campus, or at the University of Utah, or BYU, or anywhere else. My boys have got their MBAs, and they've got them here and there at BYU, or down to Pepperdine. And I'm saying if you want to have an enjoyable future, take charge of your life and know that nobody else you hang out with has any responsibility to chart your life or to make it come true, your wishes, except you. Remember, the only thing I'm going to get out of this today is the feeling that I've been able to share some thoughts with you. A free parking pass. So when I go out, I don't have to get out of the car. And I think a gift certificate to go to Applebee's or something. But please, in the time frame that I'm talking to you, I'm going to talk a little bit at hyperspeed, which is about pretty normal to normal speed when I'm in meetings with people. But I also want you to know that I care deeply, that maybe I can make a difference for some of you. Now, the whole issue of the world is flat is, the world used to be that America innovated. America created the great inventions. You had the Eli Whitneys, you had the cotton gins, you had the Thomas Edisons, you had light bulbs, you have Bill Gates. I mean, we are a very innovative, incredible nation. If you were to look over our past history, we are and have been the envy of the world. And there were people in India and Russia and throughout the world who were, South Korea, wanting to come to America to be educated, wanting to come to America to find opportunities. And now, in this great thesis, the world is flat, and it just got flat. The thesis is that the best and the brightest, or even normal students trying to get ahead in these other countries, they don't have to now come to America to be educated. They don't have to come here seeking work. We now are going through the process of seeking them out and their brain trust and their contributions through the internet and the flattening of the world because of technology. I want to make a recommendation, and then we could, after that, pretty well wrap up and go home. Print this off. You'll have it. He'll give you the source of it. The world is flat, internet, take it off. Friedman, print it off just like I have. And then you can go through and underline it and own it and own it and underline it. And the only thing I haven't done, I have it on the other one, get a yellow marker and go through, and when something strikes you, underline it, underline it, underline it. It's like if you were going to have someone say to you, you're going to go on a trip, and you're going to have to cook your own food, and here are the recipes. I read probably a book or two a week. I'm up every morning at 5:30 reading, hungry, curious, because we have a lot at stake. And I want you to know this is probably some of the most important reading I have done in 5 years. And I only saw it when Rick was so kind to forward it to me and say, what do I think? And I would say to you, I think it's true. I think it's powerful. I think it will set a whole new trend, and you'll have people like Clayton Christensen at Harvard and others, and all the great folks are going to start saying, yes, the world changed. And you need to be aware of it at your young ages and the future you're looking forward to. Well, Rick, you have a question or two you might be able to raise, and then we can talk further.
One of the things I thought was quite fascinating was today, the most profound thing to me is the fact that a 14-year-old in Romania or Bangalore in India or the Soviet Union or Vietnam has all the information. He has all the tools, all the software easily available to apply however, to apply knowledge however they want. That did not used to be the case. And that is the flattening of the world. And so, what are your comments on that? How do you perceive the changes?
Well, when you say it's flattening the world, the first thing that comes out, and I think we talked a few days ago, and let me shift a little bit. I think, how many of you have a real concern about having financial well-being in the future? Financial, yeah, come on. And how many of you are concerned about where your paycheck or money or wealth will come to you in the future? Well, all of us do, sure. And you should. It really is critical that you do. Let me diverge for just a second, Rick,
sure,
about the issue and the principle of this word, because I guess this is called entrepreneurial class. Let's talk about an entrepreneurial attitude. You're in charge. Nobody owes you anything. You have to ask the hard questions. You have to take life seriously, or it will deal with you as life does. You have to have a plan. You have to sit down and map out this semester and the next semester and next year. If you don't have a plan, then things will happen to you that you don't want to have happen to you. You soon learn that if wishes were horses, then all the poor people and beggars of the world would be riding. I wish that. I wish that. I want you to know that there's another philosophy that's a part of this. This talks about brains and brain trust and creation and entrepreneurship. Well, entrepreneurship is something that happens because you get an idea, and then you sort of get the idea that you can take the idea, look for capital, develop it into something you can test that people want, and then you take what they think they want and you package it in a way that they're enthused by it, and then they begin to buy it. I just had a great experience here a few minutes ago. Kevin Jones, who's sitting up in the back here, I knew his father and mother some years ago. He came and knocked on my car door, and he told me that he was here, had taught a class earlier in our marketing department, and he created, I said, what's your product? He says, barbecue sauce. Barbecue sauce, wow. What's unique about it? No gluten, no cholesterol, no corn syrup, healthy, but the most important thing, it's delicious. And it's called Snap Daddy's Slappin' Hot. And when I saw it and read what it's got, I thought, he's going to make some money. People are going to want to buy it. He's going to make it available, and I'm going to just ask you quick, Kevin, how many grocery stores are you in the last couple of months?
We've been in business 27 months. We're in 538 grocery stores.
538 grocery stores selling Snap Daddy Slappin' Hot barbecue sauce. And he's going to hope it's going to be in 1,000 stores, then 3,000 stores, and then he'll keep selling it, and somebody else will want to be a distributor, and then they will sell it, and then he's going to keep siphoning off profits and putting them into an account, and then putting them into a 401k, and then into a 1001k and a 1,010k, and then he's gonna save the money. And if I talk to him, he's gonna say, at some point, I want to sell so many of these bottles that I can look in the mirror and say to my wife and kids, I think we'll be set for this life. We'll have enough to get ourselves through this life. But that's what we're all trying to do, is to get ourselves on top of our ability to what? To earn. The very heart and soul and crux of entrepreneuring, going to school, having a business, and I say this respectfully, is to earn money. I've had people, one or two people come and say, why do you talk so much about money? I said, well, I can talk about money or I can talk about air. Both are essential for living successfully on this earth today. The whole argument that's going on in Congress today between Cruz and Lee and Obama and Mike Reed and all these funny guys, all these guys, good guys. They're talking about the cost, too much cost, not enough cost. I'm trying to narrow it down to you and say, you plan to make your own plan to be in charge of your own life, because if you consider the government as your future source of backup in the future, you will, I promise you, be very, very discouraged. The number of unemployed today are horrendous. The mass market of people who are good people, have reasonable training, who are looking for jobs. I see the pictures of the big job fairs that are out there. They're looking for work. We're right in the middle of the world, after all, is flat. So, what did I ask you to do, brother? Brother, you're all brothers and sisters, right? We all brothers and sisters. I'm a brother, you're a sister, you're a brother. Hi, little brother. We're good, all right. What did I ask you to do as far as this article was concerned?
Dissect it, whatever pops out, identify it.
Get it? Print it off? If you just sit and read it off the internet and say to yourself, yeah, I got it. I'm saying to you, no, you didn't get it. You can't even come close to getting it. It'd be sort of like thumbing through an encyclopedia and say, I've got it, just stuff. Reading a medical book, then do your own surgery. Can't do it. Get a copy, underline it, talk about it, think about it, bring it, talk about it to Rick. Why is this important? Well, the article is so good, it's written so well, that the answers to the questions of what does the future hold as far as education and opportunities is very well documented and is covered very well in this article. Any questions? Yes, brother.
I've read it just one time. I couldn't help but go back to the old mindset of, you know, back in the day when you were criticized for driving a foreign car and those kind of things. I couldn't help but feel a sense of pride and maybe a little bit of, not anger, but a little bit of
Disappointment.
that we're losing that. And what I guess my question to you is, what steps do you think we need to take to stay abreast on these guys, ahead of these guys?
The question.
I'm not saying that we're better than them, and we don't, but I don't want to be second place.
Boy, that's a great question. The question is, what can we do to respond to the assertions in the article where in the past you felt a pride that we're buy American, buy Chrysler, or buy Chevy, or buy John Deere, and so forth. And the pride of, this is an American-made product. Okay? What can we do with that? I would say to take all of the feelings about buying America, buying only American, I support America, I only buy American. Get rid of that concept. Because only buying American in the future, or even right now, if you were driving along in a car, Toyota, driving along with TV set in your back, and you said, I'm only going to use those that are made in America, you suddenly have your car fall apart. The world of Buy America, only American, we are Americans. I'm going to support American. That's ancient history.
I drive a Honda, just for record.
What's that?
I drive a Honda.
He
just
drives
for
a
record.
Honda.
Well, it is really in this world ancient history. Let me tell you how fast it's gone. In my brief lifetime, I can remember, but I can go way back. I'm not going to go back to the Second World War. That's a long time. Second World War, that was the one after the First World War. You remember, okay. I remember my dad was in charge as the air raid warden. He had to go around and would you make sure your blinds are down? We're concerned about the enemy maybe seeing the light here in San Francisco and they're going to bomb us. I mean, we were paranoid full time. And then the war finally ended. Then we went right back to war in Korea. And that hasn't ended. There's a 38 parallel and we keep moving ahead. But in the process of wanting to buy American and be very focused on products, I just like to open the door, put a new whiteboard up on the wall and say, open your mind and your hearts that the products that you utilize and enjoy in the future will largely be made throughout the world. You will hear things used to be designed in America, made in China, because it was cheaper, and it comes in. You're pretty soon you're going to find out it was designed in China, dreamed up in China, created in China, manufactured in India, and sold to Americans. The world changed. This article will define your thinking in the years to come. Trust me. I put up here, it's called Hold Me Accountable. Bob Pedersen, rgp@delsol.com. And then the companies that our family and my boys have is pwcompanies.com. Just have fun. Click, 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 click.
Bob, here's three things that maybe you can comment on. In the article, it said there are more cell phones in use in China than there are people in America. It said Microsoft has a research center in Beijing. Talks about they sent Chinese universities to administer IQ tests to pick the top 2,000 engineering and scientists that were tested. Microsoft hired 20 of the 2,000. Said the thing that gives you an idea of the intensity of the competition. Now, in addition, he says, remember, in China, when you are 1 in a million, there are 1,300 others just like you when you're 1 in a million in China. And those are the ones that they are looking for. Then he talked about to Rais Rao, a young Indian entrepreneur, he said, who in Bangalore, who owns Charlie Chaplin's image for mobile computer games. And he says, we can't relax, Rao said. I think in the case of the United States, this is what happened a bit. So we can't relax. He said, there's no time to rest. That's gone. There are dozens of people who are doing the same thing you are doing, and they think they're doing it better. So it's a wake-up call, isn't it?
Oh, it's a huge wake-up call. Now, I'm thinking of two things. One, my blood is boiling with excitement because I just had one of those great conversations with the son who just came back on the red-eye nighttime flight back from Florida, arrived about 2 hours ago. And let me give you just a little sense that might be helpful, Rick, for a minute. And I'm going to build on this to give you, Dawn, are we working? We got another 20 minutes?
Yeah, we got some more time.
Okay, I mean more about that?
How many?
How much more, 20 minutes more?
Yeah, make it 10 and we'll have some discussion. We want to hear what the...
Okay, let me give you a couple of thoughts here. I'm going to have you you can come down here when you get through, and I'm going to give you another one of the great gifts. Great gifts, it's a gift. I love you. Why wouldn't I not love you? Would you let me say, I don't like you? I don't love you? I love you. All right, so come down and put your name right here on a piece of paper, and then we will just pull your name up, and those who do pull their name up, I'll see how many do we have. You can count, Dawn, and tell me how many we have. All right, when you go to work for a company, when you apply for a job, one of the things you have to do ultimately is work with other people. Your success in the future, unless you are a savant, meaning the most brilliant guy up in the cave where people climb the mountain and come to ask you a question, if you have to work with other people, you need to make sure you can get along with other people. The best book that's ever been written on the subject is How to Win Friends and Influence People. The very best. We have distributed several thousands of these. All the employees in our companies, all their workers, everybody. If you read this one time through with a little check, if you read it through again with a yellow, and then read it one more time, and make this your friend. If you can get along with people, regardless of your level of education, you can find yourself a home in a company. You need to get along with people. So I brought some just so that we can make sure that's the case. Now let me tell you another quick story. The story had to deal with Del Sol. Del Sol means of the sun. In 1994, out in Fashion Place Mall, we had the idea of taking t-shirts and putting ink on them so that the ink indoors was a nice looking look. Nice look, Don. We've seen this. We've bought lights and everything for you in the past. But indoors, look good. Nice t-shirt. But you walk outside and you would think that Walt Disney just walked up and waved his magic wand and turned it incredibly beautiful and gorgeous. From the one cart, 1994, with a son-in-law, another fellow, and then my son helped in the process, Robert, who later went on to become his own entrepreneur, and Jeff. All the way through, we started focusing on and trying to make it nicer and better and better and better. So I just asked him, what is the status right now? And he told me the status right this minute for Del Sol is we have 150 stores with color-changing t-shirts. Woo! I mean, that's to get your blood going. T-shirts, couple, 3 million a year. Woo. And they all change color in the sun. We're in 26 countries. Woo. From a little booth out in Fashion Place Mall. This is what Kevin's going to do. He wants to have this in every cupboard in America, and every woman every day having dumping on. That's what he's planning on doing, right?
Yes, sir.
That's true. All right. Now, so it went on and became a fine company. 150, 60 stores. Great. We're growing, innovating, growing. Now, if any of you are interested in maybe a part-time job or summer or something for your resume, just go to the internet. It's called delsol.com, and we've had about 1,200 interns go out around the world and come back largely to Utah and to Nevada and so forth. So we believe in interns, college kids, in line, in the process of going to college. So Del Sol, I'll put a comma in, period, exclamation point. Go to delsol.com and just entertain yourself by looking around on the website. It came from one cart in the Fashion Place Mall in 1994. We're now approaching the 150 to 175 million dollar mark. Color, I know some of you are sort of snickered. I would too. Color change T-shirts. And then we got going along, what can we do for the second act? Hark! Let's see if we can go to Disney and Miramax and go to the people, all the Marvels, and have Iron Man and get all the rights for Disney on our T-shirts. It's just like we opened a new company. Why? Because you're always looking. You're going to school like this, trying to figure out, asking questions. What do you think about this? Ask me. Ask your friend. You have to be on the hunt. Well, that's what we would be if we were an agrarian society. Your wife says, where are you going, dear? Me, go out and find buffalo. Because we need to eat. Boom. That's what you do. So you have to be on the hunt for your future success. You have to be itchy. You have to be anxious. You have to want to realize it's your responsibility. And that's what we got out of there. So I'm going to leave this up here and we'll pull one more out of the hat. When you take this outside, you have to put your sunglasses on. You have sunglasses, maybe you'll win. And that is, it looks indoors, it's beautiful. It's 175 grams. If we were outside here, I could sail it pretty good and I could land it right here. But what's unique about it is it changes color in the sun. A metaphor. Okay, story number 2. They were expanding, and my son, I was working with some folks down in California on one of these LDS missions, and I was in charge of a visitor center with my wife. And he called and he says, Dad. Yes, son? I wanted to have my mind pure. I didn't want any business ideas coming into my mind. He says, Dad, I got an idea. What's the idea? I want to have a store that's sort of like Tommy Bahama. That's an upscale brand. It's a combination, we're going to call it Caraloha, Caribbean. Ooh, it's nice. And Aloha, Hawaii. That store will be called Caraloha. And that's what they called it. And they opened 3 stores. And they went to work and nothing sold. It was a total bomb. When he called me, it was like he was going to say, Dad, I've got cancer and I'm going to die in 3 months. Our wonderful idea is not selling. I said, well, keep working on it, son. You'll do fine. You'll do fine, son. So he goes down to a show and goes along and sees somebody selling stuff made of bamboo. Bamboo. You know, click, 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 bing, the stuff they build cities with in the Asia. Instead of steel, they use bamboo. So this fellow said, we can make cloth out of bamboo. And Jeff, who'd been taught to never say never and to ask the question, how? He said, well, so he came home with a 4-inch by 4-inch sample of cloth made out of bamboo by this manufacturer over here, one. And he called and he says, Dad, I think we could have shirts made out of bamboo. And my word was, why? Why did you want to do that? Oh, announce it. Tension World, bamboo shirts. I mean, not good. And so he said, well, they're 3% cooler, they respond to perspiration, they smell good, they're beautiful, and people love them. How many people? I don't know. We've never had anybody buy any because we haven't invented them yet. Moving forward, got a manufacturer to make cloth, ordered shirts. 5,000 shirts came in, put them on the shelf. Normally that would last you 3 months. Lasted a week. Another 5,000. Another 5,000. More. Caraloha.com. Go pick it up. Because they won Entrepreneur of the Year for that one. Business of the Year. Why? Because they just finished opening 36 stores in 12 countries in the last 2.5 years. You never can say never. You have to say, why not? Why? Why not? Think that things can happen and you make them happen. Okay, you have a question.
I wanted to point out what they were talking about. It said it takes a long time to train a rocket scientist. There's these different things, but there's no sugarcoating this. What's your comment on this? He said, when I was growing up, my parents used to say to me, Tom, finish your dinner. People in China are starving. And after sailing to the edges of the flat world for a year, I'm now telling my daughters, girls, finish your homework. People in China and India are starving for your jobs.
That used to be how I grew up. Eat your dinner. There's people in Europe after the Second World War who were starving. We had to always clean our plates. And now, do your homework, turn off the TV, get rid of Game Boy and so forth. Because all the youth that have it really easy and fun and joyful going through their teenage years and grade school years, and life is good, and they're hanging out with the boys, they're going to have to hang around the mailbox and hope that the government check comes through, because they won't have the skills to be offered to businesses that are looking for quality people. We have offices in Hong Kong. We have offices in China. Now we do. Didn't? Knew. India is a thrill. They are so hungry to serve. Most of the customer service today, they'll say, Mr. Pedersen, may I help you? That's a great line. May I help you? And I'll listen to the boy, I'll say, where are you calling from? And they'll say, Bangalore, India. I'm calling from India. I'm calling from Singapore. I'm calling from... The world used to be this way. Now it's sort of flat, and all the countries of the world are connected together.
The concept of the world is flat, and Bob points out, and what it does is, with all of this expansion, creates great opportunities. Would you have ever imagined that you could make a shirt out of bamboo and sell it faster than you could produce it?
I wouldn't have thought of that.
By putting the
Photochromatic ink
photochromatic ink
in other stuff.
on Delsol on the Frisbee, you create a whole different product that is desirable. And it's a matter of thinking and creating, isn't it?
And studying and learning. This $3 Frisbee, we put in, I won't tell you how much, a little bit of herbs and spices, okay? And then we sell it for $13. You take a t-shirt that you can say 3 for $10 next door to one of our stores. Our score? 1. $25. You have to sort of get this feeling. Now, you're alone at home. Nobody will be watching. You're not on cam. But if in the morning when you get up, you want to go, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Just a little bit over the top, it is. But let me tell you, there's times where as an entrepreneur, you could be scared shitless. You're wondering if you're going to be on top of it or behind it. But you just make up your mind. Back to the question, what should they do? Study. Do well in school. Do the best you can in school. Turn off the TV set. Kill the video games. And if you can, do the homework. Preferably, the best students prepare before they go to class by reading the chapter in advance. And so they really suck all they can out of the professor who has come. You don't have to tomorrow. You don't have to next month, next year. It will hit you in 4 years, in 6 years, in 8 years, in 15 years. If any of you are married or thinking of getting married, going to have kids, teach them to study and to do the very best they can, because you already have had a look at what the future world holds for you.
But doesn't it apply to you to wake up?
Yeah.
And it's about you. And as the Stanford economist Paul Romer said, a crisis is a terrible thing to waste. So
Isn't that wonderful? A crisis is a terrible thing to waste. A quick story, bought a company one night. It used to make mills and mixers and make bread. And I shook hands with 35 employees in this business. Introduced them to a new manager that I'd only met the day before. I got him out of the Wall Street Journal. I get in my car and drive home. About 3 or 4 hours later, he calls and says, Bob, the factory in Idaho is burning to the ground. Burning to the ground. Few facts. Didn't have insurance. Too fast. I only bought the business at 8. It burned to the ground at 11. Now we had to decide what to do. And I said, I'm going to go get some sleep. And I'll get in my car, and I'll get up in the morning and move forward and come back up, and we'll assess the business. It used to be a 2-story building. When I arrived in Idaho, I walked around my former building, about this tall. And I said, now you want to try this with me. All together. And then the magic word. Interesting. Interesting. You don't get discouraged. Interesting. Here we go. Interesting. And so I stood there, I look at my short building, no insurance. We are in shambles, and I go, interesting. You got it. That's worth the whole day. And then the other question is, now I got to figure out what's interesting about it. And I said to my manager, you didn't like the floor plan before. You thought the paint booth should be over here. You now have a flat piece of ground. You design it the way you want to. Got 2 builders to work together, time and materials. That means no bids. They just work, keep track of it, and give me the bills, and I pay for it. We're just getting started. They said, I think we can get it back up. And we were back up and in business in 60 days. And during that time, our sales just surged because people like to be a part of an emergency. People like to be a part of a successful story. Okay.
Bob,
Yes,
5 minutes.
we're good. We got about 5 minutes. Now, I told you that this book is worth the whole price of admission today. I think I have about enough, but if not, I'll get you some more so we can make sure. Should we do that? Yeah. Cool, we're 6 short. Read it, love it, enjoy it. It's your secret for the future as you work with companies, okay? This is critical that you get a copy, print it out, pen, and a yellow thingy that marks it. Got it?
Interesting.
Interesting. It is interesting. Any general question, just generally?
How many of you are gonna open up your emails now? Find that article.
How many of you do you think will go to pwcompanies.com? And you're gonna go to delsol.com?
Yeah.
They spend a lot of time and money producing it. Just sit there with your root beer or 7-Up or orange juice or V8. Remember that one? Okay, you've got that. Okay, caraloha.com. And just take charge of your life and have fun. And now I'll say this to you, it's one of my favorite, because we travel a lot, and that is when you see someone up on a mountain somewhere, just say to yourself privately, they didn't fall there. They climbed there. I can fill up a couple of class periods telling you how hard Jefferson and his team have worked to now develop, and they've got, it's coming, develop this business called Caraloha, expanding Del Sol, and then my other son, Robert, had a business you may have heard about. Anybody have cell phones? Anybody have a cell phone? Have you ever wanted to protect it with a invisible shield? Zag, invisible shield. He created that. He created that business. Zag, invisible shield. And a year ago, at about 250 million, he moved out of the business and moved on. Dream. It's okay. You're not going to get punished for dreaming. Now the last piece, the last word, and I always worry about saying this, but at some point, if some of you happen to get married, it's a good deal. It's a good business to be in. Marriage and a family can be a good deal. Divorce is a bad deal. So go into the marriage good deal part carefully, but then just love and trust your partner and your associates. Trust, ultimately, will be what you will build a relationship with, a family with, and a business with. Trust is not something, trust is everything. I really appreciate being here today. Thank you for coming, and bring your paper down, and we'll make sure we have a quick drawing, and then you can figure out who didn't get one, however you want to do it. Thank you for being here. Thank
Captain
you.
Bob.
We good?
Yeah, we're good.
All right, who wants to ask a terrific question that I really like real fast? One question. Yes?
What is the single hardest challenge you had to overcome to be everything that you want?
To make sure I always had a plan that I could measure my progress against. It'd be like playing football in a huge field with no goalposts, no chalk markers. You just go out and throw the ball around. If you don't have goals and chalk marks and inbounds and out of bounds, you're not playing a game, you're just having a practice running around. Splendid question. You're welcome.
Who's in the game?
Yeah.
Bring them out, bring them down.